Chapter 1. I'm getting really sick of Amanda Kornblatt's obsession with horses. And in Chapter 10, only a week before the big race, Wonderflanks comes up lame. Lame is right. It's Tuesday morning at BBC, that's the Breakfast Book Club, and I'm half listening to Amanda ramble on about another stupid pony story. Last week it was Wonderflanks the Rescue. Today it's Wonderflanks 2, the race. I'm ready for Wonderflanks 3, the nap, and Wonderflanks 4, the coma. Teddy gives a snort that sounds, and this isn't his fault, it's just the way he laughs, exactly like a horse doing a major lip flap. I'm pretty sure that Mrs. Hickson, the librarian, is going to throw a nutty, but her eyelids are at half-mast. Which is sort of a surprise, because Hickey is usually good at pretending to be interested in whatever books kids are reading, even when they're snooze-a-thons like these. Elf Wars of Darthon, the Dragon's Bane Trilogy. Advanced Principles in Theoretical Mathematics. How to Speaking for Better English. The Cheerleaders Club, Boyfriend Trouble. Depressing love poems that don't even rhyme. I hate to read. I'm just here for the snacks. Finally, Amanda wraps it up. Spoiler alert, Wonderflanks wins the big race. And we're all about to head for homeroom when Mrs. Hickson says, "Hang on, gang. I've got something to share with you." Uh-oh. Duck and cover, everybody. Unless it's food or money, I'm not a huge fan of teachers sharing stuff. Remember the time Coach John showed us his kidney stone collection? And this one almost killed me! Hickey pulls a small, battered-looking book from her desk drawer. It's about the size of a stack of detention slips. Not that I've ever seen a detention slip. I discovered this the other day in the school archives, she tells us. It was written by a student right here at PS 38. Okay, not exactly a move-the-needle moment on the thrill meter. So some kid wrote a book. Ask me if I care. Her name was Edna Birkdale, Hickey says. And then she just stands there, smiling in that annoying, I'm waiting for a reaction way that teachers have. Huh? Wait, who? Edna? There's no Edna in this school. Never heard of her. I'm not surprised you don't recognize the name, Hickey continues. She lived 100 years ago, which makes this a very old book. I thought the oldest thing around here was Mr. Galvin, Teddy whispers. FYI, Mr. Galvin's our science teacher. His wrinkles have wrinkles. I shouldn't call it a book, Hickey says, correcting herself. It's actually a series of journal entries about what PS 38 was like when it first opened. It has no library, no lunchroom. No library? No lunchroom? Easy, Chad. And no parking lot, of course, Hickey continues. There weren't any school buses in those days, and cars had barely been invented yet. Some people rode horses to school. Squeal! Heads up, Amanda nearly knocks me into next week with a flying elbow. Coming soon, Wonderflanks 5, the skull fracture. I wish I'd lived back then, Amanda gushes. That makes two of us, I grumble. What classes did they have back then? How long was the school day? How many students were going here? What kind of test did they have? Was Mr. Galvin the science teacher? Hickey glances at the clock. Oops, we're out of time. Save those questions for our next meeting, and perhaps Edna's journal will have the answers. Francis is beaming as we file out of the library. That journal sounds fascinating. To you, maybe. Yeah, Francis, you think celery's fascinating. For your information, celery happens to be one of nature's most versatile vegetables, Francis sniffs defensively. Besides, what's wrong with wanting to learn about somebody from the past? That's what you did. Me? When? Hello? You did a whole project about Ben Franklin. That was different, I say. Ben Franklin was an inventor, a writer, a cartoonist. He was cool. Well, maybe Edna Birkdale will be cool too. Right, because nothing says cool like the name Edna. I had a great aunt named Edna, Chad pipes in. She had one tooth and smelled like mothballs. Thank you for proving my point, Chad, Teddy chuckles. Well, I think it'll be fun reading about PS-38 in the good old days. It's historical. That's Francis for you. He really is interested in history, and celery, and just about everything else. Francis Fact. He can recite the names of all the U.S. presidents in 20 seconds. Backwards. Hayes, Grant, Johnson, Lincoln, Buchanan, Pierce, Fillmore, Taylor, Polk, Tyler, Harrison, Van Buren. Tick, 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 tick. We all know he's one of the smartest kids in school, but he doesn't walk around advertising it like some people I know. And Mrs. Godfrey said my essay was the best she's ever read. See what I mean? Introducing the amazing Gina and her expanding ego. We get the point, Gina. You've got a big brain. And a mouth to match. She spots me and struts over. Nice job at BBC, doofus, she smirks. Duh. Hey, everybody, look what I'm reading. Another stupid comic book. I feel my ears start to burn. If you were half as smart as you say you are, Gina, you know the difference between a comic book and a graphic novel. But you're not, and you don't, so zip it. Nate, a word with you, please. I spin around, and suddenly I'm looking directly at a stomach the size of a large minivan. It's Principal Nichols. The question is, which Principal Nichols? Tender. Being a middle school principal is the greatest job in the world. Zesty. Their kids drive me crazy sometimes, but it's a good crazy. Extra crunchy. Hey, I told you, no running in the hallway! Well, he doesn't look like he's ready to kill me. That's a nice change of pace. Nate, we have a new student. Will you show him around the school, help him make friends? Basically, be his buddy for the next few days? Why, sure I will. Wonderful. Come to my office after homeroom. Now it's my turn to smirk. How about that, Gina? He could have asked you to show the new kid around, but he asked me. Congratulations, she sneers. He gave you a job that a trained monkey could do. Unfortunately, I'm fresh out of snappy monkey-related comebacks, so all I can do is stand there like an idiot while Gina slithers off. Ignore her, Nate, says Dee Dee's friendly voice. Principal Nichols only asks nice people to be buddies with new kids. That leaves her out. Ha! Good one, Dee Dee. Gina may be president of the debate team, but Dee Dee always seems to get the last word. Want to know her secret? She never stops talking. And then at rehearsal, we all realized that the acoustics were awful. It sounded like we were standing in an echo chamber. So, who's the new kid? Dee Dee finally asks after babbling for several minutes about... Sorry, I wasn't really listening. No idea, I tell her. I just hope it's somebody good, you know? That's the thing about being the buddy to a new kid. When it goes well, it goes really well. Like when I showed Teddy around after he moved here. We were best friends in no time. And when it goes bad, that's when you end up with a list like this. I kid you not. PS-38's new kid disasters. Laura Dumphy. Not a real positive person. This school stinks compared to my old school. I hate it here. I hate you all. Mikey Mooch McDonald. Don't sit near him at lunch. Hey, that looks good. You gonna finish that? I'll finish it. Can I have a bite? Just a bite. Kim Cressley. She's not a disaster to anyone else. Just me. Walk me home from school, or I'll break your kneecaps. 'Kay? After homeroom, I scoot down to the office to meet the new kid. It's a little weird. I don't know his name, what he looks like, or anything about him, but I'm supposed to be his buddy. Well, hello, Nate. Hi, Mrs. Shapolsky. You must be here for Breckenridge, she says. Breckenridge? What's that? Principal Nichols swings open his office door and waves me inside. He's not a what, Nate? He's a who. Meet your new classmate. Nate Wright, this is Breckenridge Puffington III. Wow, that's, quite a name. The kid gives a timid little wave. Frankly, he looks ready to wet his pants. I guess it's up to me to get this party started. Hi, I say, reaching to shake his hand. He's got a grip like a limp noodle. I feel a faint glimmer of recognition. Something about Breckenridge Puffington III seems familiar. Or does it? Have I met this kid before? Chapter 2. I'd say this looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship, Principal Nichols announces happily as Breckenridge and I leave the office. Don't you agree, Mrs. Shapolsky? Absolutely. They'll be pals before they know it. Pals? I don't think so. I'm not getting a real pal vibe here. I like my friends to have a little thing called personality. So far, this kid's about as exciting as a table of contents. If I have met him before, it's no wonder I can't remember him. But I'm supposed to show him the ropes, right? Well, the first period bell's about to ring, so I better let him know what he's in for. Brace yourself for Mrs. Godfrey, I warn him. Who's that? He asks. His voice is half squeaky, half whiny. It's Squiny. She's the social studies teacher, I tell him. I dig into my notebook and pull out a wad of papers. This will tell you everything you need to know. A day in the life of Mrs. Godfrey. Early one morning. Time for another day of tormenting children. A breakfast of coffee, sardines, and raw onions gives my breath that special quality. Munch, munch, slurp, slop, norf. I can't wait to see the students' bratty little faces when I give them back their tests. Whoosh! Soon. Quiet down, punks. Now! Mrs. Godfrey? Yes, dear Gina? I brought brownies to share. Aren't those for the whole class? Are you sassing me? Foom. Gag. Try sassing your way out of your test score. Dun dun dun. A 43? But I got most of the answers right. I know. I deducted points because I don't like your attitude. Now go to detention. What a psycho. Later in the faculty lounge, Mrs. Godfrey sits in a hot tub. Teaching is so rewarding. Breckenridge's face turns copy paper white, and he was already pretty pasty to begin with. Is this what she's actually like? He stammers. I nod as we walk into Mrs. Godfrey's classroom. Oh yeah, my comics are famous for their gritty realism. Well, hello! You must be Breckenridge Puffington III! A few kids snicker. Hey, can you blame them? It is a pretty goofy name. It makes him sound more like a prince than a person. Introducing His Royal Highness, Lord Wussypants of Dweebania. Mrs. Godfrey's smiling at Breckenridge from ear to ear, which in her case is a pretty long trip. She doesn't break that out for just anyone. That's her Gina smile. Welcome to PS 38. Let me show you to your desk. I get it. The kid's a newbie, so she's putting on an act. Right now, she's all gumdrops and candy canes. But give it time, and Mrs. Godzilla will show her face. Mrs. Godfrey fact. She hands out more detention slips than all the other teachers. Combined. That's 4 days in a row! We slog through some pointless worksheets. Who cares about the Battle of Yorktown? While Mrs. Godfrey briefs Breckenridge on the classroom code of conduct, or, as I like to call it, Gina's rules to live by. I will always treat my teacher with the utmost respect. Translation: I will suck up to Mrs. Godfrey at every available opportunity. I will fully participate in class discussion. Translation: I will raise my hand and say, "Ooh," every single time a question is asked. I will use an appropriate tone of voice at all times. Translation: I will not yell in class. Only Mrs. Godfrey yells in class. I will make my schoolwork a priority. Translation: I will do more homework than required, making everyone else look like slackers. The bell rings and we file out, with Breckenridge sticking to me like lint on a lollipop. I thought this kid was supposed to be my buddy, not my stinking shadow. You said Mrs. Godfrey was mean, he whispers. But she was nice to me. Yeah, well, maybe she smelled food. Do you have some kibble in your backpack? Breckenridge doesn't even crack a smile. Okay, maybe that wasn't my A+ material, but it wasn't that bad. I try again. Hey, want to hear a few of Mrs. Godfrey's nicknames? I ask him. Crab Cakes, My Little Phony, Extra Cheese, Helmet Hair, Cankles, Madam Bovine, Titanic, Boxcars, Graceland, Kung Fu Panda, Plan B, The Eighth Continent. I wait for a response. Crickets. What's wrong with this kid? I'm usually good at making people laugh. Sweep! Sploosh! I don't see that the floor is wet, and suddenly I slip and land with a sploosh. All the kids start laughing. See what I mean? Teddy helps me to my feet, still chuckling. Didn't you see the sign? Maybe I would have, I snap, trying to squeeze the water from my shirt. If my buddy had given me a heads up. Breckenridge mumbles something about trying to warn me. I don't really hear him since, A, he has such a wimpy voice, and B, it's sort of hard to be a good listener when your underwear is soaking wet. Plus, I'm still having that weird feeling that I know this kid from somewhere. But again, hard to concentrate. Soggy underwear. Why was there a big puddle on the floor? Breckenridge asks as I slosh down the hallway. The roof leaks, I tell him. Splish, 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 splish. Can't they repair it? They never repair anything around here. This place is a dump. It's true. PS-38 is falling apart. Literally. I won't even give you a full list of all the stuff that needs fixing. Just a few highlights will do. No hot water in the locker room. School counselor's office smells like rancid mayonnaise. And how did that make you feel? Random falling art debris in art studio. Then you mix the colors together and look out! Green carpet in science lab is actually out-of-control mold colony. It's so plush. Squish, squish. Are those mushrooms edible? Well, even if it is a dump, I need to know my way around, Breckenridge points out. Yeah, okay, I'll give you a tour. But we're going to do it Nate style. See, anybody could drag Breckenridge from the nurse's office to the computer lab and every boring place in between. But it takes a special kind of tour guide to show him some of PS-38's real landmarks. So, away we go. Here's where Teddy set a school record for marathon belching. Belch! This is where Mark Cheswick was standing when his pants exploded. Mary Ellen Popowski threw up on Coach John's shoes right here. And, on this spot, I hit Randy in the face with a coconut yogurt pie. "Who's Randy?" Breckenridge squeaks. "I am." Red alert. It's Randy Betancourt, PS-38's resident jerk bomb. Where's a coconut yogurt pie when you need one? "I hear there's a new wimp in town," he sneers. "And they've asked the school's biggest loser to be his buddy." Ow! Randy shoves me aside and goes nose to nose with Breckenridge, except it's more like nose to chest. The poor kid's shaking like a blender full of Jell-O. "What's your name, shrimp?" Randy says. "Breckenridge Puffington the Third." "What?" "Breckenridge Puffington the Third." I saw this coming. Breckenridge isn't just new. He's new, dorky, and has a name that sounds like a British boarding school. The poor kid's fresh meat. "Come on, guys," Randy crows. "Let's give Puff Boy here an official welcome to PS-38. Why don't we show him one of our beautiful toilets?" "Yeah, Randy." I look around helplessly. It never fails. Randy and his gang start gooning it up, and there's not a teacher in sight. Unless somebody steps up and does something, Breckenridge is going to get swirlied. Yeah, I know. I don't even like the kid. And there's only one of me against a couple tons of them. So why should I risk my neck for Breckenridge Puffington III? Because that's what buddies are supposed to do. Chapter 3. The element of surprise. That's pretty much all I've got going for me. Randy won't be expecting me to crack. I hear it coming. I see a blur. But whatever it is, it's moving too fast for me to get out of the way. Clonk! Something scores a direct hit on my head. Moments later, for the second time today, I'm lying flat on the floor like a steamrollered squirrel. I blink hard and look around. What just clobbered me? "Miss Clark, what happened?" "A ceiling tile fell on Nate." A ceiling tile? That's it? It wasn't a freight train? Or one of those Wile E. Coyote anvils? Miss Clark helps me to my feet. "Thank goodness those tiles are mostly styrofoam," she says. "Yeah, but it was heavy styrofoam," I protest. "Very dangerous, potentially deadly. I'm lucky to be alive." "There's a teeny tiny bump here. Just to be safe, you'd better visit Mrs. Albert's office." "What? Whoa! Let's not get hasty. I don't need to see Mrs. Albert," I blurt. "I'm fine. Like you said, it was only styrofoam. Very light, very, styrofoamy." So going to Mrs. Albert's office would just be a big waste of time, and it wouldn't really... Mrs. Albert is the school nurse, and no, I'm not afraid of her if that's what you're thinking. It's just that nurses' offices aren't exactly fun, you know? Mrs. Albert fact. She loves asking questions while she's shoving a wooden stick down your throat. "So, how's life?" You're usually there to get a splinter dug out of your finger. Must not scream. Must not... Or because you accidentally sat on a cactus. Oh dear. Yes, I sat on a cactus once, and it could have happened to anybody. So shut up. Anyway, how about we skip the whole nurse's office thing? No such luck. Miss Clark gives me her, "This is not a suggestion, it's an order" speech, and Principal Nichols, whose job it is to agree with teachers, backs her up. Shocker. So what choice do I have? I'm off to see Mrs. Albert. She'll probably try to amputate my head. When I get to her office, there's a sign on her door that says, "Come in, back in 5 minutes." Back in 5 minutes? Fine by me. That's 5 minutes I can spend working on my latest comic masterpiece.
Another bloody good episode of Dr. Cesspool, co-starring Nurse Maureen Biology. It's a prescription
For laughs.
One day at the hospital. Nurse, get ready to witness something incredible.
You're going to wash your hands before surgery?
Of course not! I am going to perform a revolutionary operation. The world's first brain transplant.
Good gravy, but won't that be dangerous, Doctor?
Don't fret, nurse. I'll be fine.
I meant dangerous for the patient.
Oh! Luckily, the patient's too stupid to understand the risks.
Who is it?
Randy Buttoncourt. Soon. First, I'll remove Randy's own brain.
Wow, that's small.
Now I'll replace it with the brain of the deceased supergenius, Erwin Greymatter.
So Randy will become more intelligent?
Well, there's nowhere to go but up, if you know what I mean. Done. I'll sew him back up and...
Wait, something's wrong.
His body is rejecting his new brain. Stand back, nurse. Sproing? Rats. The operation was a complete failure. Now I'll have to plant something else in his head.
Another brain, Doctor?
No, I'm all out of brains.
No comment.
Aha! The answer is right here in the hospital cafeteria.
A piece of hamburger?
It's an almost exact replica of his original brain. And so... Success! His body didn't reject the hamburger.
He's waking up.
Randy, you're officially a meathead.
What else is new? Well, I'm wondering whether Randy really does have hamburger for brains. Do we all agree the chances are good? Mrs. Albert breezes in.
Hello, Nate,
she chirps.
What brings you here? You're sitting down, so I'm guessing there wasn't a cactus involved.
Hilarious. Don't you love it when adults remind you of stuff you'd like to forget ever happened? My dad's the king of that.
Remember when you were 3, you asked Santa for a pink tricycle? I'm sure Timmy will grow out of his bedwetting phase. Nate did.
A ceiling tile fell on my head. I grumbled to Mrs. Albert. Mrs. Albert's eyes widen.
Again? The exact same thing happened last week to Mrs. Godfrey.
Aha! Says a familiar voice. Francis and Teddy walk in. I always knew you and Mrs. Godfrey had a lot in common. Zip it, guys, I mutter. Nobody knows better than Francis and Teddy that comparing me to Mrs. Godfrey gives me an instant case of the dry heaves.
You've had quite a morning, champ,
Teddy crows.
First the wet floor gives you the slip, and then the ceiling attacks you.
Yep.
Tisk.
Mrs. Albert sighs as she examines the lump on my melon.
This school is a wreck. What PS38 needs is a little TLC. Tender, loving care.
Now that's ironic. A speech about TLC from a woman with hands like sledgehammers.
Mrs. Albert?
Francis asks.
If the school's such a wreck, why don't they fix it up?
She says, finishing his question.
They'd like to, believe me. But repairs cost money. If they gave this place a facelift, they wouldn't have anything left to pay the teachers.
And the downside is? I crack. Teddy snickers.
The downside is you'll be late for your next class if you don't get going,
Mrs. Albert tells us. She pats me on the shoulder.
Your head's fine, Nate.
Well, that's debatable. Hardy har. Come on, fellas, we've got art. On our way to the art studio, we count the ceiling tiles that look ready to crash and burn. I mean, literally crash and burn. In this dump, a little spontaneous combustion wouldn't surprise me.
It's too bad they can't afford some repairs,
Francis observes.
since PS38 Centennial is coming up.
Centennial what?
It means the school's turning 100 years old, Einstein,
Francis says.
Mrs. Shapolsky says there's going to be some kind of birthday party.
They should make it a retirement party, I say, and then demolish the place.
Nate, are you okay?
Dee Dee bounces over. I can't tell if she's worried or excited. Probably both. She's multi-emotional.
I heard about your accident. It sounded terrifying. Tell me what happened. Don't leave out a single detail.
It really wasn't all that dramatic, I say. Dee Dee looks disappointed. Drama to her is like oxygen to the rest of the world. Wait a sec, I add. Actually, there was one sort of memorable part of the whole thing. That tile saved the new kid from Randy's toilet tour.
Huh? What do you mean?
I tell them about Randy's gang roughing up Breckenridge and how a crowd gathered when the tile nailed me.
Aha! And when some teachers showed up, Randy took off.
Exactly.
He's such a weasel. At least Brokenridge got away,
Francis points out.
Poor kid, meeting up with Randy on his first day.
It's Breckenridge, I say. And before you feel all sorry for him, try being his buddy. Dee Dee looks surprised.
You mean you don't like him? How come, Nate?
Well, I answer a little uncomfortably. I don't want to sound mean or anything.
That's never stopped you before,
Teddy jokes.
The kid's a stiff. He's boring. His voice is annoying. He's a wuss.
How have you come up with all these opinions? Dee Dee asks.
You met him 2 hours ago.
It's a feeling, that's all. I can't explain it. You wouldn't understand. Dee Dee flashes a sarcastic smile.
Of course not. What would the president of the drama club know about feelings?
Don't mind her, Teddy says as we take our seats. It's not your fault if Brackenhutch isn't cool. It's Breckenridge, I remind him. And it's not like I'm expecting him to be Joe Awesome. I just wish my buddy were a little less, dweeby. Hello, boys. It's Mr. Rosa, our art teacher. And he's not alone. Nate, Teddy, Francis, have you met our new student, Breckenridge Puffington III? I open my mouth to answer, but Breckenridge beats me to it.
Yes, we've met,
he squeaks as he pushes a stool up to our table.
In fact, Nate's my best friend.
Chapter 4. Wait, what just happened? Did Breckenridge just call me, his best friend?
You saved me from that Randy kid. Now that's a pal.
Great. See what I get for trying to do the right thing? Now Captain Clingy here thinks we're soulmates. Well, I don't need a best friend. I've already got 2 of them. So how am I supposed to deal with this? Beat it! It's tempting. But I can't just kick Breckenridge to the curb like that. It would be mean. Plus, Principal Nichols would freak. There must be some way to wiggle out of this, without being too wiggly, if you get my drift. Come on, brain. Think! I hold my pencil out to Breckenridge. Hey, pal, will you go sharpen this for me?
Sure, old buddy.
I watch Breckenridge waddle out of earshot. Then I huddle up with Francis and Teddy. Did you guys hear that? I whisper.
I can't hear anything right now,
Teddy says. Pencils are stuck in his ears.
Can you talk a little louder?
Be serious for a second, you pinhead, I hiss. Breckenridge just told me I'm his best friend. Francis raises an eyebrow.
Well, duh. You are. He doesn't know anyone else.
Yeah,
But he doesn't really know Nate either, Teddy points out. Like Dee Dee said, they only met a couple hours ago.
Yeah? But what if I've known him longer than a couple of hours?
Huh?
I tell the guys about my nagging feeling that I've met Breckenridge before. Francis frowns.
That's odd. So is Breckenridge, Teddy cackles.
Yeah, I mutter. And I'm stuck with him.
So? Unstick yourself. Find him some new friends.
Hey.
Yeah,
I exclaim. I'll drag him around the cafetorium during lunch.
Well, that's a nice way to put it.
I'm sure I can find someone to take him off my hands.
What about your hands?
Clay. I was just saying that it's hard to wash clay off your hands.
Oh.
That's why I'm glad we're drawing today.
Me too,
he says.
I like to draw.
Really? Wow. Stop the presses, everybody. Breckenridge Puffington III and I might actually have something in common. He picks up a pencil, leans over a sheet of paper, and starts singing.
La da da dee diddly dee, ski diddly doo dee, bee boo billy boo ba doo.
What a dorkmeister. This kid's weirder than a two-headed penny. But wait, there's more. Look what he's drawing. This is free art time, I tell him. Mr. Rosa lets us draw whatever we want.
I know,
he answers.
I like flowers.
Okay, whatever. I've got nothing against flowers. I just don't like drawing them.
Beware! You are entering the drawing dead zone. Stuff I hate to draw and why.
Realistic-looking hands. Why? Too hard. Girl's hair. Why? It takes all day. Flowers. Why? They're flowers. Trolls and frogs. Why? I don't do cutesy. Figure skaters. Why? Do you really have to ask? Caricatures.
You made my nose too big, you little punk.
Why? Hazardous to my health. Breckenridge is still talking.
Not only flowers, of course. I like all flora.
Flora? That's the name of Chad's hamster.
Trees, bushes, ferns, algae. Those are my passions. I'm going to be a botanist.
That's, interesting. And when I say interesting, I mean so boring I want to set myself on fire. He spends the next hour telling me about his favorite mosses. Finally, the bell rings. That was the worst art class since Paint a Potato Day.
Time for lunch, right, pal?
Right. You said it. Okay, time to put my plan into action. Lunch is the only time the whole school's together in one room. So, if I'm going to find some pals for Breckenridge, the cafetorium is the place to do it. I scan the cafetorium. There's some decent possibilities here. Let's take a look at a few of the candidates. Nick Blonsky. Pros. He's a total jerk and a huge liar, and he has hardly any friends. In other words, Breckenridge won't have much competition. Cons. See above. Roderick Mathis. Pros. He's really popular and he's good at everything. Cons. He's probably not thinking, if only I had a friend who was an aspiring botanist. Chester Budrick. Pros. He's the size of a Greyhound bus, so he could protect Breckenridge from kids like Randy. Cons. He's a potentially violent sociopath. I glance over at Breckenridge, who is picking his nose, and it occurs to me that this might be tougher than I thought. What kind of sucker will agree to hang out with this kid? And then, suddenly, it hits me. Artur!
Hello, Nate,
Artur says in his lovable but still kind of annoying accent. Why didn't I think of this before? Artur likes everybody, and almost everybody likes him. All I have to do is introduce him to Breckenridge and get out of the way. Artur, this is Breckenridge. Can he eat lunch with you? Great, thanks, gotta go. But wham! Okay, here's the bad news. I just did a faceplant in Coach John's back fat.
What are you doing?
But the good news is... Just kidding. There is no good news. I swallow hard. I was, about to get in the lunch line.
Really?
Coach John exclaims, his fake friendly voice echoing around the cafetorium like a cannon blast.
You were in such a hurry, I assumed you were exercising.
My stomach sinks. Here it comes.
If it's exercise you want, I'll make sure you get plenty of it during gym,
he thunders.
Now sit down!
Yes, sir, I mumble, and scurry over to the nearest open table. Phew, that could have been way worse. I've seen Coach John bring down the hammer on kids for a lot less.
I don't like your t-shirt, so drop and give me 20!
Anyway, things are looking up. Coach Crazy didn't wig out on me. No, that's not a toupee joke. And I managed to ditch Breckenridge. Hi, buddy. I thought you were sitting with Artur, I say, trying not to sound completely disgusted that my escape from Joe's sidekick lasted about 25 seconds. He nods. I was, he tells me. But then someone else came along. Jenny. Oh, I should have seen that coming. Jenny, who was practically almost about to be my girlfriend before Artur moved here, is awesome. It's her taste in guys that's a little nuts. They seem like a happy couple. Oh, yeah. They're ecstatic. Groan. Talking about Jenny and Artur is like wearing burlap underwear. It won't kill me, but it's not very comfortable. Time to change the subject. Breckenridge, I want to ask you something. Have you lived here before? He nods. My grandmother is from here, and I lived with her for a few months when I was really little. Aha! I exclaim, pounding the table. I'll bet we knew each other back then. He shakes his head. I don't think so. I don't remember you. What? That's impossible. How could anybody not remember me? I'm the most memorable person I know. Want to share my lunch? Breckenridge offers. I've got plenty. Ark, egg salad. Gross me out. That's the second most sickening thing I've seen today. The first, obviously, was Artur and Jenny's imitation of conjoined twins. No thanks, I mutter as I get up from the table. I need to get going. I'll come with you. No! I have an appointment. Yeah, that's it. I scoot out into the hallway before he can say another word. Freedom. After half a day of Breckenridge trailing me like some wussified bloodhound, it's nice to go solo again. Sometimes a man just needs to be alone. Ah, Nate! I'm glad to run into you. Uh-oh. Don't tell me my overdue book fees have finally hit triple figures. There's a young lady I'd like you to meet, Nate, Mrs. Hickson says with a smile. She's just your kind of girl. Chapter 5. I've been making some photocopies of Edna Birkdale's journal, Hickey says, handing me a bundle of papers. The one I told you about this morning at BBC. Wow, was that only this morning? It feels like a month ago. Time doesn't exactly fly on planet Breckenridge. The other kids won't see that till our next meeting. But a little bird told me you might enjoy a sneak peek. So apparently Mrs. Hickson talks to birds. Librarians are so... what's the word? Eccentric. Which means they're a few pages short of a chapter, if you get what I'm saying. Anyway,
There are some comfy chairs in the computer lab. Let's see what's so great about this Edna What's-Her-Face. Thump!
Edna's Journal, September 7th. Today was ever so exciting. Public school number 38 has opened at last, and what a grand scene it was when Mayor Steffens and our new principal, Mr. Prentice, cut the lovely red ribbon that stretched across the front door. We children couldn't believe our eyes when we walked inside. Our dear new school resembles a royal palace, and each classroom is enormous, nearly as large as—
So, this is supposed to be my kind of girl? Sorry, I'm not feeling it. First, she's a complete neat freak. I mean, look at that handwriting. And second, she's dull as a soup spoon. Page 1 of her journal is a total yawn. And then I turn to page 2. We walk into our classroom, and there to meet us was our new teacher, Miss Orbach. Boys and girls, take your seats. Take them where?
Uh-oh.
Hee-haw! You rascal, you! Ooh, Mama! Here's the dunce's seat for you. Holy cow. I can't believe this. Edna Birkdale was a cartoonist. Okay, so it isn't the most hilarious comic strip I've ever read, but considering that it's 100 years old, I'm willing to cut Edna a little slack in the chuckles department. Plus, I like the way she draws. She's almost as good as I am. I keep going. Hickey only gave me a few pages, but there's a lot to look at. Here's a drawing of Edna's 2 best friends. By the way, can we fire whoever was in charge of thinking up names back then?
Gertrude is terribly clever. Girls are just as smart as boys.
And Mildred is cleverly terrible. Smarter, I'd say.
And here's another classmate she's not so crazy about. Remind you of anyone, Gina?
Mary fancies herself the teacher's favorite. Please, sir, give us more lessons, and here is a pie I baked for you with my own hands.
Oh, you darling child. There's even a drawing of PS-38's very first bully. I wonder if this kid's last name was Betancourt.
George is a most unpleasant brute.
Ho, ho! Have a nice trip. Ooh! Hickey was right. This rocks. I'm usually not a fan of back in the good old days stuff, which is reason number 8,000 why I hate social studies. But this is different. This is comics. If Edna Birkdale were around today, she'd definitely be a doodler. The Doodlers is the unofficial name of the PS-38 Cartooning Club, the best club in the galaxy. And we could use someone like Edna. It's been a while since we added any new kids. And speaking of new kids... Oh, here you are! I stifle a groan. Wave goodbye to my me time. It was nice while it lasted. Breckenridge peers at me suspiciously. You said you were going to an appointment. I am. I was. I had a meeting with the librarian. Hey, that's mostly true. Technically, I did meet Hickey in the hallway. Breckenridge doesn't have to know it happened by accident. Now he's eyeing the papers in my hand. What's that? He asks. This? Just some homework, I answer, jamming the pages into my pocket. Hey, we'd better get moving. We've got Jim. I know what you're wondering. Why not tell Breckenridge about Edna's journal? Because then he'll want to join the BBC, that's why. And on page 85 of Foliage and Flowering Plants of North America, there's a fascinating paragraph on ornamental grasses. Make him stop! Then he'll start joining all clubs and activities I'm in. Doodlers. Nice walrus. It's a dog. Yearbook. Click. Scouts. Now you sing one. Which means I'll never get rid of him. Nate, you and Breckenridge have become so close, I've invited him to live with us. No!
Maybe I'm overreacting, but can you blame me? All I did was agree to be this kid's buddy, and it's turning into a life sentence.
Attention, please! Attention! All teachers and students leave the building immediately. Proceed in an orderly fashion to the nearest exit.
Breckenridge grabs my arm.
What's going on?
He whimpers. How should I know? I grunt. That sounded kind of harsh, I guess. But in case you hadn't noticed, Willie Weakling here is getting on my nerves.
Well, have you all got wax in your ears?
Coach John bellows.
Move out!
Must be a fire drill, Teddy says as we file down the hallway. But the alarm didn't go off, Francis points out. It's got to be something else. He's right, as usual. Once we get outside, Principal Nichols makes an announcement.
There's no cause for concern. There's a minor gas leak in the building.
We already knew that,
Teddy whispers.
Her name's Mrs. Godfrey. Remember the day she had baked beans for lunch?
A repair crew is fixing the problem, and you should be able to return to your classes in about an hour.
Rats. I was hoping for see you tomorrow.
In the meantime,
Principal Nichols continues,
enjoy your surprise recess!
Yay! Everyone scatters. The teachers all sit down in the shade to talk about whatever teachers talk about when they're not on duty.
Would anyone like to see pictures of my vacation to the Museum of Nose Hair? Anyone? Hello? Yelling at the students just makes me feel so alive.
Yes, go on.
And after I'd failed at everything else, I thought, why not try teaching?
Hey, me too.
I'll never become a famous artist. Stop whining about it and do some sit-ups!
While the kids split up into their regular recess groups.
Lovebirds. You're my cuddle muffin, and you're my mushy pancake.
Gossip girls.
Her new haircut is so awful.
What was she thinking? Get-a-lifers.
I've seen Star Wars 396 times.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Show-offs.
1005! 1006!
Slackers.
Whatever.
Gina.
I'm going over to the teacher's area. I guess going to a broken-down school has its advantages.
Francis whoops.
100-year-old gas pipe cracks, and we get a free period.
Heard that.
Hey, Roderick's got a football over there,
Teddy says.
Let's get a game going.
Yeah, we'll pick teams and...
football's too violent.
Oh, brother. Maybe if Breckenridge wasn't such a wet blanket, we'd find something to do that included him. But he's not even trying to fit in. Come on, kid, get with the program.
We could play touch instead of tackle,
Francis offers helpfully.
I don't like sports,
Breckenridge sniffs.
All that running around, what's the point?
To have fun. That's what we'll be doing if you want to join us. I feel a little bad for ditching Breckenridge, but what am I supposed to do, hold his hand? We want to play football and he doesn't, end of story. Hey, Roderick, us three versus you three.
You're on.
Coin flip, call it. Tails.
It's heads.
You guys are kicking off. As we line up to start the game, I spot Jenny and Artur looking on from the sideline. Nice of them to come up for air. Hey, guys, I shout, and when I say, hey guys, I really mean, hey Jenny. Watch this! I'll return this kick for a touchdown. That ought to make an impression. Then, out of nowhere, Roderick tackles me. Crunch! Ow! Impression is right. Roderick drills me so hard my socks hurt. By the time I can breathe again, the other team scooped up my fumble and scored. Now I'm hoping Jenny's not watching. Francis leans over me. You okay, Nate? Oh, sure, I mumble, wobbling to my feet.
What's a few broken ribs between friends?
Can you keep playing? Teddy asks. I nod.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll play.
Oh, no, you won't.
Chapter 6. It's Principal Nichols. He probably saw me get crushed by Roderick and wants to make sure I'm still breathing. Adults are paranoid that way.
Come here, Nate. Now.
I'm not hurt, I protest as I follow him off the field. In other words, one visit to Mrs. Albert is enough for today. Hey, it's enough for the whole year.
I wasn't suggesting you were hurt, he growls. But someone was.
What do you mean? He doesn't say a word. Guess we're playing 20 questions now, and I'm starting to get the feeling I won't like the answers. I try again. Who got hurt?
A friend of yours.
My stomach does a barrel roll as I watch Breckenridge sitting alone at the far edge of the schoolyard. He looks lonelier than a skunk with bad breath. Principal Nichols' voice is quiet but firm. I hate quiet but firm.
You agreed to be that young man's buddy, Nate.
He begins.
Instead, you dumped him and started a football game. How do you think that made him feel?
Well, we told him he could play too, but, he didn't want to. Almost before I get the words out, I know how lame they sound. So does Principal Nichols. He takes a deep breath and says,
Nate, I'm surprised at you.
Surprised? That's a biggie. It's one of those
words you don't want to hear from a teacher.
Are you trying to be funny?
I don't like your attitude.
And the Daily Double.
He has motivation issues.
My cheeks start getting warm. Yeah, I messed up. But so did Breckenridge by being such a fun sponge. None of this would have happened if you were just a little more normal.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
Sorry? I mumble. Principal Nichols shakes his head.
Don't tell me. Tell your buddy.
My buddy. My dorky-looking, nasal-sounding, egg-salad-eating buddy. Fantastic.
Oh, and remember, Nate, Principal Nichols tells me, stick together. Wherever he goes, you go. I'll be watching.
Talk about a 180. First I try to cut this kid loose, now I'm begging him to take me back. Awkward. Maybe I can act like nothing's happened. Oh, there you are, Breckenridge. I've been looking all over for you. Wow, that sounded so fake. Acting isn't really my thing. Last year I played Snoopy in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I fell off my doghouse. Anyway, Breckenridge doesn't want to hear it. You ran off and left me alone. Okay, time to try Plan B. Sincerity. I can be totally sincere when I have to. You're right, I tell him. I thought I wanted to play football, but it wasn't much fun. I'd rather hang out with you. You're only hanging out with me because you have to. Breckenridge sniffles. No kidding. The big kahuna just made it crystal clear that I'd better get this friendship, or whatever it is, back on track, and fast. Listen, Breckenridge, I say, trying to move things along. Sorry I was sort of an idiot. Can't we be buddies again? Well, okay. Buddies. I feel the relief wash over me. See that, Principal Nichols? Crisis over. Put away your hairy eyeball. We've still got a lot of recess left, I say. What do you want to do? Breckenridge perks right up. Well, just before you got here, I was admiring this unusual bush. Fascinating.
The leaves are similar to Rhododendron atlanticum, but notice the flowers, which resemble those of the subgenus Hymenanthes. This could be a hybrid of two different subgenera, one evergreen and one deciduous. If we observe the texture of the petals, we see... I spend the next 45 minutes examining shrubs. And yes, that is as thrilling as it sounds. It's the start of a brutal week. Breckenridge and I are inseparable. We have all the same classes. Scooch, scooch, scooch! We eat lunch together. Deedly-dum-dee, doodly-diddly-dum-bee-doo, biddly-skiddly-doo. He's even moved into my locker. I mean, I don't spend this much time with people I like. I'm still having that funky feeling that I've met him before. But at this point, I'm too exhausted to care. Being a buddy to Breckenridge Puffington III is totally wiping me out. Even Dad notices. "You look a little stressed, champ," he tells me as I pull on my jammies. "Everything okay at school?" "Yeah, fine," I say, not wanting to give him an opening for one of his cheeseball father-son talks. "I'm just kind of tired." "Well, maybe you could skip the comics tonight, pal." "Yeah, maybe. Or maybe not." I draw comics every night before bed, and nobody, not Breckenridge and not Dad, is going to stop me. This story must be told. Ultra Nate, Super Sixth Grader, starring in Bud or Dud. An ordinary night. Draw, 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 until something lights up the sky. The Nate signal. Somewhere there's a job for Ultra Nate. Soon at police headquarters. "What's up, Chief Nichols?" "Bad news. The notorious meathead has escaped from prison." "Egad! Summon my crime-fighting colleagues, Mega Chad, Teddy Titan, Captain Fantastic. Let's go!" "Hold it! We have a new crime fighter I'd like you to work with." "Who?" "They call me Buddy Boy." "Okay, Buddy Boy, let's find Meathead." "Right, I'll call a cab." "Superheroes don't take cabs, we fly." "I can't fly. The altitude gives me nosebleeds." "And so? $12 for a 5-minute cab ride? What a rip-off!" "Where are we?" "This is Meathead's secret hideout. We'll sneak in. I'll take the window and you... Buddy Boy? Buddy Boy?" "Over here! What a perfect example of Rudbeckia fulgida. Notice the colorful petals, Hey! We're supposed to be looking for Meathead." "You found me! Bzzzt!" "Soon. You can lock me up in a tank made of Nate-proof glass, but you won't get away with this. My partner, Buddy Boy, will bail me out of here." "I don't think so. When I captured you, he fainted." "Ha! What a wuss! How'd you end up with him as a partner?" "Just lucky, I guess." "Well, enough chit-chat. Time for me to fill your tank with poison gas. Say goodnight, Ultra Nerd. It's curtains for you." "Curtains, Nate." "Huh?" "I said I'm closing your curtains. Go to sleep, it's a school night." Click! I let my notebook drop to the floor and shut my eyes. Dad's probably right. Tomorrow's another day of Breckenridge. I need all the rest I can get. "So, he still hasn't made any other friends?" Francis asks as we walk to school the next morning. "Nope. He doesn't need other friends. Nate's with him all the time." "Yeah, because Principal Nichols is making me," I grumble. Francis strokes his chin. "Breckenridge is an unusual kid. Maybe he just needs to meet some other unusual people." "Nobody's that unusual." "Hi, guys!" You might be wondering why Dee Dee's wearing a clown costume. Well,
It hasn't happened for at least a week. She must have been getting antsy. Dee Dee fact. She dresses up on every holiday. Happy Groundhog Day! Even the lame ones. Nice cake on your head, Teddy tells her. These are my party hardy clothes, Dee Dee explains. Mrs. Shapolsky asked me to start spreading the news about PS38's big birthday celebration, and I decided to really get in the spirit. What kind of party is it? She hands each of us a sheet of bright yellow paper. See for yourselves! Isn't it fabulous? I'm 100!
You don't look a day over 98.
It's the one and only PS38 Centennial!
Food, fun, games, and a huge scavenger hunt. Form your team now. It's all happening next Friday.
Dee Dee obviously drew this. I've always liked her cartooning style. In fact, she and Edna Birkdale might be my two favorite cartoonists. Besides me, of course.
A scavenger hunt? Cool! How many kids can be on a team?
According to Mrs. Shapolsky, the limit is 5, Dee Dee answers. That's perfect, I say. It'll be us 4 plus Chad. Oh, yay!
That's the same group we had for the Trivia Slam.
Teddy breaks into a huge grin.
Yeah, when Frances's factoids beat Gina's geniuses.
And we'll beat her again in the scavenger hunt, I whoop.
Gina's team won't stand a chance against the 5 of us.
Francis clears his throat.
Except there aren't 5 of us. There are 6.
Chapter 7.
I've gotta go do something. Over there. What a coincidence. So do I.
Call it the Breckenridge effect. Whenever he shows up, everyone disappears. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Look what I found on my way to school. Cetraria Icelandica, also known as Iceland moth. It doesn't usually grow in this climate.
That's... Help me out, somebody. What's another word for incredibly uninteresting?
It's actually edible,
he continues.
Most people don't know that.
Right, because most people don't care.
Nymph, 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 nymph. Want some?
No, thanks. I, already had moss for breakfast.
Suit yourself,
he says, little bits of green stuff spewing from his mouth. Is it just me, or does he look like a chipmunk at a salad bar?
Why was Dodo dressed like that?
He asks. Her name's Dee Dee, okay? And she's passing these out. Breckenridge scans Dee Dee's centennial announcement and wrinkles his nose.
Scavenger hunts are stupid,
he sniffs.
What's so fun about going on a wild goose chase for a bunch of useless junk?
Remember, this is a kid whose idea of a good time is collecting tree bark. But whatever, the point is, if Breckenridge doesn't do the scavenger hunt, that's going to make it way more fun.
On second thought, I guess I will be on your team, since we're buddies.
Great. Now I've got 2 problems. Not only don't I want him on my team, there's not even room for him. But I'll deal with that later. At the moment, I've got someone else on my mind. Edna Birkdale.
Where are you going, huh? Where?
For a second, I think about lying to him. But then I remember how guilty I felt last week after dumping Breckenridge to play football. I imagine the look on his face if I leave him standing here alone in the hallway. And I spot Principal Nichols spying on me from around the corner. Handy tip, if you want to be a spy, try not being the size of a 10-room condo. I'm going to BBC, old pal.
What's BBC?
Breakfast book club. Come on. The meeting's just starting as we walk into the library. Mrs. Hickson's passing out photocopies of Edna's journal. We'll spend the first half of the meeting reading, and then we'll talk about what we've learned. Hickey glances our way.
Well, Nate, have you recruited a new reader to the BBC?
Sort of, I mumble. I guess so. This is Breckenridge, Puffington, the third. There are some muffled snickers from a few kids. Breckenridge's name is still everyone's favorite punchline. For the gazillionth time, I wish I'd been given a buddy with a real name. Like Spike Spikeson, or Biff Manley, or, Nate Wright.
Welcome to BBC, Breckenridge. Pull up a chair and spend some time with Edna.
We start reading. I skip the first few pages. I saw those when Hickey gave me that sneak peek, and flip ahead. I'm looking for more of Edna's comics. And it doesn't take me long to find some.
Is love in the air for our Miss Orbach?
Oh dear, I am becoming an old maid. I will visit the fortune-teller. Will I ever be lucky in love?
We must ask the crystal ball. The spirits say you will meet someone.
Sakes alive!
He will have white hair.
Oh my, a distinguished older gentleman.
He will kiss you.
Why, that romantic scoundrel, tee-hee!
Yes, you will be head over heels.
Please, tell me when this will happen.
The spirits say tomorrow.
Goodness me, I must prepare.
The next day, Miss Orbach arrives at school wearing perfume and a new hat.
Where might he be? Tee-hee!
Hello, teacher.
Good morning, George. I see you rode to school. Ha-ha!
Yes, this is my grandpa's mule, Whitey. He likes your hat.
Oh! Whoa! Stop licking me!
Hee-haw! He likes you. He will have white hair. He will kiss you.
Oh, no. It can't be true, but I fear it is. The someone the fortune-teller spoke of is a sway-backed nag.
Ho, ain't it romantic?
I was never so mortified.
The mule kicks her. You will be head over heels.
Oh, my head!
Reading, writing, arithmetic. Miss Orbach knows them all, but she was fooled completely by a Swami's crystal ball. She hoped to meet a charming beau when she arrived at school. Instead, Miss Orbach soon found out her dreamboat was a mule.
You scallywag! Hee-haw!
This is amazing,
Breckenridge says softly.
I know.
It's awesome,
I whisper back. What's your favorite part?
So far, it's the chapter on Pteridophytes. I love ferns.
Breckenridge is reading The Wild World of Plants. I forget to whisper this time. Hey! You're supposed to be reading Edna Birkdale's journal. Hickey appears over my shoulder.
Breckenridge wasn't really interested in the journal, Nate, so I found him something to read that's a little more up his alley.
Yeah, well, I've spent some time in that alley lately, and it leads straight to Loserville. Who in their right mind would choose plants over comics?
Okay, gang, let's start our discussion. Now, we all know that Edna attended PS 38 a century ago. But what else did her journal tell you about the school back then?
Ooh!
Little Miss Big Brain raises her hand. What a surprise.
There was only one teacher for the entire 6th grade, Gina says. Miss Orbach.
Suddenly, the thought of Mrs. Godfrey being our only teacher flashes across my mind. On a related note, I think I'm about to throw up.
Very good, Gina, Hickey says. What else? PS 38 wasn't a middle school 100 years ago. It was grades 1 through 8. There was one entrance only for boys and another one only for girls.
Instead of a bobcat, the school's mascot was a duck.
There were no classes like art, music, and gym, and there was no drama club. It sounds like the school looked really different back then, too, Frances observes. Edna describes things that aren't around anymore. Wood floors in the hallway, slate blackboards in every room, a mural on the south stairwell.
Huh? I must have skipped that part. What mural? I wonder aloud. Gina hijacks the conversation.
Edna talks about it here, she says, reading from the journal. The dreary stairwell at the south end of the building is ever so much cheerier thanks to a lovely mural depicting a farm scene. There are cows, horses, and a handsome barn that—
I've climbed every set of stairs in this place 50 million times, Teddy mutters, and I've never seen a mural like that.
Wait, which one's the south stairwell? I don't think the stairwell Edna was writing about even exists anymore, Hickey says. The school's been remodeled and expanded many times. I'm guessing that at some point over the years the mural was destroyed.
That's a drag. If there's any place I could use a good mural, it's this joint. It's not that we don't have art, but what we do have is terrible. Hey, culture lovers! Take a tour of PS38's Bad Art Collection! Portrait of Random Guy. We walk by this painting every day, but nobody knows who it is. He looks either like a wacky science teacher or a deranged axe murderer. Mr. Rose's display case. This week's spotlight artist is Mary Ellen Popowski. Her style is abstract expressionism, an art term that means I have no clue what I am doing. Bobcat Pride. In the gym, Coach John painted a bobcat that looks like a gerbil with glandular problems. Stick to phys ed, dude. Bathroom graffiti.
I'm a doofus.
If you're going to deface school property, try having some actual talent.
There are a few minutes left before homeroom,
Hickey tells us.
Any other observations about Edna's journal?
She was a really good cartoonist, I say. Her cartoons remind me of Happy Hooligan and the Katzenjammer Kids.
What are those?
They were two of the most popular newspaper comic strips back then, along with Crazy Cat, Thimble Theater, and Little Nemo.
Mrs. Hickson beams. And I'll bet Edna read them all. Tell me, Nate, how many of those comic strips were drawn by women?
None of them.
Exactly, Hickey says, clapping her hands. That tells us what an unusual young lady Edna was. She was an aspiring cartoonist during a day and age when girls just didn't do things like that.
The homeroom bell rings.
Finish reading the journal before our next meeting,
Hickey calls as we file out.
See you then, everyone.
Wow, Nate!
Chad exclaims once we leave the library.
You know so much about comics.
And so little about everything else. How pointless, spending all that meeting time on some stupid cartoons.
Shut your face, Gina, I snarl.
Why should I? I go to BBC to read, not listen to your brainless babbling about comic strips.
So, let me get this straight. She doesn't like comics?
Teddy deadpans. She should mind her own beeswax, Dee Dee huffs. If you have a passion for something, why should someone else criticize you for it? Know what I mean?
Yeah, I answer. I think maybe I do.
Chapter 8.
Holy cheese. This is just like one of those dorky Wonderflanks books where the main character, that's me, learns a very important lesson. Gee willikers, Wonderflanks. I just realized something.
What's that, lil feller?
When Gina makes fun of me for reading comics, it's the same thing as me making fun of Breckenridge for liking plants.
Gosh, you're right.
I'll bet I hurt his feelings.
And feelings are important.
Breckenridge, I'm sorry.
Golly, it's okay. I'm just glad we're friends.
Friendship is awesome.
Now that's what I call horse sense. Yes, the Wonderflanks books really are that horrible. And no, Breckenridge and I aren't going to gallop off into the sunset anytime soon. Or ever.
What an incredible picture of Dionium with scipula, better known as the Venus flytrap. Notice how the lobes are hinged at the midrib.
But maybe it's time to cut the kid some slack. He might be a total plant nerd, but is that so bad? Everybody's a nerd about something. Francis, trivia. Did you know that a goldfish has a memory span of 3 seconds? Dee Dee, drama. I will now perform the aria from West Side Story. In math? Teddy, jokes. Why couldn't Count Dracula's wife go to sleep? Because of his coffin. Yuck, yuck. Chad, food.
Do I detect a hint of garlic in today's mystery meat?
Me, comics. Behold my cavalcade of characters. Comics. Hey, that reminds me. We've got a Doodlers meeting today. Ooh, that's right. Here's a miracle. Breckenridge actually looks up from his book.
Who are the Doodlers?
He asks. I hesitate. It's not a tough question. I just need to consider my potential answers. There's no such thing as the Doodlers. I just made that up. Butt out, Breckenridge. This doesn't concern you. They're a very boring group of people you'd have zero interest in. I have no idea what you're talking about. I decide on none of the above. Yep, I listen to my inner Wonderflanks. We're the Doodlers. We're the PS38 Cartooning Club. You should come check out the meeting. Breckenridge wrinkles his nose.
I don't really like drawing cartoons.
Why am I not surprised?
But it's fun,
Chad pipes up.
Even if you can't draw. I love being a doodler, and my cartoons are horrible.
What? Your drawings rock, Teddy says. I thought that funny-looking pig you drew last week was awesome.
That was my grandmother.
Oh. Anyway, I tell Breckenridge, we meet in the art room after school, and our advisor is Mr. Rosa.
Is that good?
Of course it's good, I answer as we head into homeroom. Not all teachers are as nice as he is, you know?
Breckenridge!
Uh-oh. Remember when I said that old Dragon Breath was being nice to Breckenridge because he was new? Well, I think the honeymoon's over. It looks like the poor guy's about to get Godfreyed.
When I came into my classroom this morning, young man, guess what I found?
Breckenridge's desktop is covered, and I mean covered with drawings and graffiti. It looks like the Scribble game on steroids.
I'm disappointed, Breckenridge,
Mrs. Godfrey growls through clenched teeth.
Writing or drawing on school furniture is a serious violation of the classroom code of conduct.
Breckenridge doesn't say a word. He probably can't. When you're the target of a Mrs. Godfrey rage attack, the power of speech is usually the first thing to go.
Wash off that desk,
she snaps at Breckenridge,
and make it spotless.
I clear my throat. It's probably nuts to stick my nose into this, but... Mrs. Godfrey?
What?
Breckenridge didn't draw on his desk. Her eyes narrow into 2 puffy slits.
And what makes you say that, Nate?
Because the only thing he draws is plants, I explain. He's weird that way. No offense. Mrs. Godfrey cocks her head like a pit bull on high alert.
What's weird, Nate, is that you seem to know so much about these drawings, which look suspiciously like your handiwork.
Wait, what? I didn't draw this stuff.
Then who did?
She bellows. Is she serious? Anyone with half a brain can see that this has Randy's fingerprints all over it. He went after Breckenridge last week and struck out. Now the big jerk's trying a different tactic. But I can't prove a thing, and Randy knows it. That's why he's yucking it up over there with his posse of pinheads, while I've joined Breckenridge in the Clam-Up Club.
Your silence speaks volumes, Nate. Mrs. Godfrey sneers, which is her way of saying case closed. You can both clean the desk. Now!
This isn't fair,
Breckenridge whispers as we scrub away at the desktop. Memo to Randy. Thanks for using permanent markers, butt-face. What's fair got to do with it? I hiss back. All she cares about is the final score. Godfrey 1, Justice 0. The good news is Queen Kong didn't give us detention. We can still go to the Doodlers meeting. But when the bell rings at the end of the day, Breckenridge isn't exactly fired up.
What if I hate it?
Then you don't have to come back. Just give it a try.
I'm no good at drawing superheroes,
he complains as we enter the art room. It's not just superheroes, I point out. We draw all kinds of stuff. See? You'll find something you like.
I already have.
Isn't it great? I just put up this poster today.
Who painted it?
Her name was Granny Peppers, Mr. Rosa says with a smile. She's one of my favorite artists.
We all gather around for a closer look. I'm not exactly Joe art critic, Teddy says, but that sort of looks like a kid painted it.
Granny Peppers was a folk artist, Mr. Rosa explains. She had no formal art training. That's part of her charm.
Breckenridge points at the poster.
Well, she obviously knew her flowers. Look at all the varieties. Lupines, asters, primroses.
They're pretty, Dee Dee gushes. Yeah, pretty boring. Enough with the botany lesson. How about we sit down and draw some nice, relaxing cartoons?
Wait a second,
Francis says.
Isn't her name on a plaque somewhere downtown?
It sure is. The house where Granny Peppers lived is on the National Register of Historic Places. Wow! Chad exclaims. So she's from around here and she's famous?
Mr. Rosa nods.
Yes, on both counts. She's the most famous person to ever live in this town. But during her lifetime, she wasn't well known. She was just a nice old lady who painted as a hobby.
Then what happened? Dee Dee wants to know.
Well, after she died, about 80 years ago, her paintings gradually became more popular.
How popular? Teddy asks.
One of them was recently sold for $2 million.
$2 million? There's a stunned silence until Chad speaks up.
I want to be a folk artist,
he squeaks. Mr. Rosa smiles.
Well, maybe someday. For now, let's concentrate on being cartoonists. Why don't we all play Add-On?
Yay! Yeah! Woohoo! It's a great meeting. I think Breckenridge actually has fun, even though everything he draws looks like seaweed.
Seaweed, by the way, isn't a weed at all. It's a macroscopic multicellular benthic marine alga.
Got it. Thanks. I'm still thinking about that painter, Teddy says as we load up our backpacks and start home. Imagine selling a painting for 2 million smackers. Yowza! I nod. That would buy a lot of cheese doodles.
I wonder why she called herself Granny Peppers,
Chad asks. Probably because she was older than dirt. Or maybe she had a dorky first name.
Like mine.
I like your name, Breckenridge, Dee Dee announces. It sounds so noble. It's sort of a tongue twister, though, I add. Have you ever shortened it to Breck, or Ridge, or B-Man, or Ridge Dog, or Breckaroni, or Brickster, or Puff Daddy, or
We get it.
No,
I've never had a nickname. But when I was really little, my grandmother used to call me Bobby.
Maybe something else gets said after that? But I don't hear anything. My brain is locked on that last word out of Breckenridge's mouth. Bobby. You know how I keep saying I think I've met this kid before? Well, that feeling's back. Only now I don't just think it. Now I'm positive. I just remembered everything. Chapter 9. The whole gang keeps walking, except for me. I'm paralyzed. My sneakers feel like two boulders strapped to my feet.
Nate, you coming?
I don't say a word.
Nate. Earth to Nate.
I think he's in shock. You're darn right I'm in shock. What I just remembered would blow anyone's pants off.
Come on, buddy. There's some spruce trees nearby I want to examine.
Get away from me and stop calling me buddy! Breckenridge's eyes go as big as truck tires. Teddy's mouth flops open like a trap door, and Dee Dee, believe it or not, is speechless. Fine. Speechless is good. I've got nothing else to say anyway.
Nate, what's going on?
Why don't you ask the new kid? Turns out Breckenridge isn't so new after all.
Dramatic flashback!
Okay, our destination is 7 years ago. That might not sound like much, but 7 years ago is 2/3 of my whole life. Anyway, 3 days a week. I'd kill to have that schedule now. I went to a nursery school called the Honey Hive. A lot of it is pretty hazy, but I remember some parts really well. Morning drop-off time. Bye, sweetie. Mommy will be back later.
Don't leave me!
The daily sharing circle. I love ponies.
We know.
Munch, munch. Sing-alongs with Miss Nancy. The wheels on the bus go round and round. She had wicked B.O. I liked the Honey Hive, and I was friends with all the other kids. Life was good, and then... Kids, this is Bobby. Today's his first day here. Please welcome him. Cue the something bad is about to happen music. Bobby was huge. When we all lined up to shake his hand, he practically ripped my arm off. To be honest, he kind of freaked me out. Hi. But that first morning went okay. Bobby acted just like another kid. Maybe there's nothing to worry about after all. Then we went outside for recess.
Hey, give me that truck.
But it's mine.
It's not. It's the school's.
No, I brought it from home.
I want it.
Hey!
You play with this doll. Shove.
Yep. Even back then, there was never a grown-up around when you needed one. I guess the teachers had a lot of kids to keep track of, and Bobby and I slipped through the cracks. That worked fine for Bobby. For me, not so much. From that day on, I became Bobby's playground piñata. He didn't beat me up exactly, but he was always on me. He'd shove dirt down my pants, or pee in my sippy cup, or sneak up behind me and scream in my ear. You know, fun stuff like that. And he never got caught. I started wishing for rainy days so he wouldn't have outdoor recess. For 3 months, Bobby was a giant turd in the wading pool of life. And then, just like that, the nightmare was over. Bobby was only with us for the summer, Nate. He's gone back to his own school. No more Bobby. I could live again.
Yay!
End of flashback.
So, do you get it now? Bobby was Breckenridge. Yup, they're the same guy. It took me a while to put it together. I mean, he was so different back then. First, he was a giant. Second, he didn't wear glasses. And third, he wasn't studying plants all the time because he was too busy bullying me.
Hi, Nate. How was school?
Great, really great, I snap as I stomp upstairs to my room to draw. More fun than a brick trampoline. Oh, did that sound bitter? Well, for over a week, I've been busting my buns to be Breckenridge's friend. Meanwhile, he's the same kid who used to get his kicks by sitting on my head. So yeah, I'm bitter. I guess buddies aren't always what they seem. When last we saw our hero, he was in deadly peril. Hiss! The Nate-proof glass chamber fills with gas. Enjoy your last few breaths of life, loser. The poison gas is beginning to work. You're heartless, meathead. Actually, I'm not. I've decided not to kill your little sidekick. Isn't that nice of me? Maybe he'll revive in time to rescue you. Buddy boy. Buddy boy. Wake up. Oh, I'm awake. And my name's not Buddy Boy. What? I was just pretending to be your crime-fighting partner. My real identity is your arch-nemesis, Bully Boy. I knew something about you seemed familiar. You were right, Ultra Dork, but you figured it out a bit too late. Everything's getting dark. There's a knock on my door, and Dad pokes his head in. Nate, there's a friend here to see you. Well, okay, I grumble. Send him in. Not him, her, Dee Dee says. I would have been here sooner, but I had to change out of my clown suit. Now tell me, what's going on between you and Breckenridge? I should have seen this coming. Dee Dee's never met a problem she didn't want to stick her nose into. I'm not going to talk about it, I mutter. That's ridiculous, she says matter-of-factly. Holding it in makes it worse. You've got to let it out. Well, I guess maybe I am going to talk about it. Before I can stop myself, I'm telling Dee Dee the whole story of Breckenridge's secret life as Bobby, the terror of the honey hive. Wow, what drama! I thought you'd like it. But why are you so upset with Breckenridge? Weren't you listening? I say, almost shouting. He was a jerk! He bullied me! Dee Dee nods. Yes, when he was 4 years old. What does that have to do with it? She doesn't answer. Instead, she asks, Didn't you and Francis meet in kindergarten? Yeah, I say. So? And didn't you used to whack him with your lunchbox, steal his glasses, stuff like that? My cheeks start heating up. That wasn't real. It was just, goofing around. So it wouldn't be fair for Francis to be mad at you for how you treated him back then. Yes, that's exactly right. Then why are you punishing Breckenridge for the way he treated you? Dee Dee asks. The question hangs in the air for a long time. A really long time. We're now in uncomfortable silence territory. Anyone else want to take a stab at this? 'Cause I've got nothing. Nate, Bobby may have been a bully, but Breckenridge isn't. I'll bet he doesn't even remember what happened. All I can do is shrug. I have no idea what he remembers. I mean, I asked him about it once. Ask him again, Dee Dee tells me. Yeah. I guess I could do that tomorrow. She beams. Why wait till tomorrow? You can talk to him right now. Chapter 10. Breckenridge edges into my room like some sort of creeping fungus. I give him a withering stare. So now you're spying on me? He wasn't spying. I just thought he deserved to know why you're so mad. Nate, Breckenridge stammers. If I was mean to you back then, well, I'm really sorry. But I barely even remember living here, and I definitely don't remember bullying you. Sure you don't. How could anyone forget something like that? I snort. You didn't even remember it until about an hour ago, Dee Dee reminds me. Ouch. She has a point. I hate when that happens.
If you don't like me, Nate, that's your business,
Breckenridge says quietly.
but don't decide based on something that happened when we were babies.
He looks ready to cry. Great. Now I feel guilty. It's not that I don't like you, I try to explain. I just don't think we have very much in common. I'm not really all that into plants.
Well, I actually don't care very much about comics.
Dee Dee jumps between us.
You don't have to like all the same stuff to get along.
Just look at you and me, Nate. I love cats, figure skating, and egg salad, and you hate those things. If you're keeping score at home, that's 2 good points by Dee Dee. She's really starting to annoy me, which sort of makes her case, right? Even when she drives me crazy, I'm still a Dee Dee fan. I think she's hoping Breckenridge and I will have one of those cheesy hug-it-out moments. Sorry, not happening. Instead, I extend my hand. I guess. Well, I guess we can try being buddies again.
We don't have to be buddies,
he says.
How about we just be friends?
Okay, I answer. I try to sound casual, but privately I'm doing backflips. Being Breckenridge's buddy was a whole lot of heavy lifting. Being his friend will be way more manageable. I can be friends with anybody, except Gina, and Randy, and
I should get going. I'll see you tomorrow at school.
Dee Dee and I watch from the window as Breckenridge wanders up the sidewalk, stopping to examine every blade of grass along the way. I can't believe that's the kid who used to play tetherball with my head. I'm glad he grew out of that phase, Dee Dee says. PS38 already has enough bullies. Like Randy, I grunt. What a Nimrod. Apparently, Gina doesn't think he's a Nimrod, Dee Dee tells me. He's on her team for the scavenger hunt. The scavenger hunt! That reminds me, I need to get permission to put Breckenridge on our team. That shouldn't be a problem, says Dee Dee. Principal Nichols wants you and Breckenridge to be pals, right? So he'll definitely say yes. She's right, again. When I check in with the big guy the next day, he's Mr. Good Vibes.
Of course you can add Breckenridge to your team. We'll just change the team limit from 5 kids to 6. Good luck. Happy hunting.
Speaking of hunting, why don't you hunt for a new brain? The one you have now is a dud. Oh, I don't know about that, Gina, I say. My brain seemed to work just fine during the, trivia slam. The smirk slips from her face like soup through a fork. That got her attention. You were lucky, she hisses. I nod. Very lucky that I wasn't on your team. I prefer to win. Then prepare to be disappointed, Gina growls through clenched teeth. In the scavenger hunt, you're going to get your butt kicked. Whatever. I don't need to waste any more time listening to Gina talk about my butt. I just want the big day to get here. And a week later, it finally does. Friday morning. We've got to beat Gina. Yes, so you've said. About 50 times. Guys, wait up! Sorry I'm late. It took me some extra time to get ready. For what? Cracks Teddy, eyeing Dee Dee's outfit. A Little House on the Prairie convention? I'm dressed like a girl from a century ago, doofus, she answers, in honor of PS38 Centennial.
Wow, you look hot.
Why, thank you, Chad.
No, I mean, hot. You're wearing long underwear.
I think they're called bloomers, Chad, Francis chuckles. They are a bit warm, Dee Dee admits.
Try wearing no underwear,
Chad suggests.
It's nice and breezy.
Too much information, Chad. Let's go, guys. It's starting. We file into the cafetorium under a banner that says, Happy birthday, PS38. Inside, it's Party Central. There are balloons, streamers, bells, whistles, you name it. It makes the place look kind of sad. What do you mean? These decorations, they can put up all the balloons and posters they want,
but they can't cover up the fact that the school's a total wreck. There's an expression for that, Francis points out. It's called putting lipstick on a pig. Why bring Mrs. Godfrey into this?
Listen up, scrubs!
Nice combination. Coach John and a megaphone, because his regular voice just isn't loud enough.
All teams competing in the scavenger hunt, report to the stage now!
He bellows. We scoot over there along with most of the 6th grade. As we all gather around Principal Nichols, I check out the competition. The way I see it, there are 5 teams that could win this thing. Nate's Non-Stoppers. Me, Francis, Teddy, Dee Dee, Chad, B-Dog. Gina's Geniuses. Gina, Randy, Mary Ellen, Eric, Nick, girl whose name I don't remember. Artur's Army. Artur, Jenny, Paige, Sheila, Brad, Maya. Roderick's Rebels. Roderick, Amanda, Mark, Nina, Mason. Kim's Crackerjacks. Kim, Shauna, Tabitha, Chester, Kevin.
You'll all be searching for the same dozen items, Principal Nichols tells us. But each group's list is in different order.
That way you won't keep bumping into each other.
When you locate an item, you'll find a checklist at that same spot, he continues. Put a mark in the box next to your team's name. Once you've checked all 12 boxes, report back here.
Is there a prize for the team that finishes first?
Someone asks. Principal Nichols nods.
There is indeed.
Is it a good prize?
Oh, absolutely, he says with a wink. You might say that the sky's the limit.
Wonder what that means. I wouldn't worry about it if I were you, since you have no chance of winning.
And you do?
I scoff. You've got Randy on your team.
Exactly.
So what? Whoops. Note to self, before you open your mouth about Randy, make sure he's not standing right behind you. Randy spins me around and gets right in my grill. He's pretty mad. He's also in serious need of a breath mint.
Are you saying the Gene's team won't win because of me?
Yep, that pretty much covers it. Are we done here?
Your team's the one with the weak link. Mr. Flower Freak here.
Sorry, I wasn't listening, I say, my voice rising. I was too busy trying to figure out how you ended up on a team called the Geniuses. Principal Nichols is giving me the evil eye.
We're ready to begin, if that's okay with you, Nate?
Yeah, I mumble, my cheeks burning like asphalt in August. He takes a final look at his watch.
All right, then. Good luck, everyone. The PS-38 Centennial Scavenger Hunt starts now!
Chapter 11.
Where do we go first?
Dee Dee asks as we roar out of the cafetorium. Item number 1 on our list is a desk with an inkwell. We skid to a stop.
I don't even know what that is,
Chad groans.
I do. I read about it in Edna Birkdale's journal.
Suddenly I realize what Francis is getting at. That's right, I exclaim. She put it in one of her comics. Here. After arithmetic, we practice our penmanship, and you'll never guess what happened. That scoundrel Walter Letty spotted Martha's lovely long braid and soaked it in the inkwell. The brute. Har, har.
Oh, stop!
See,
says Francis, pointing at Edna's drawing.
Those old-fashioned desks had holes where the ink containers went.
Ah, there were no ballpoint pens then. They used dip pens.
But I've never seen a desk like that anywhere in the school. I think I might have.
What? When?
Where? Follow me,
Breckenridge instructs us. Then, like a tiny homing pigeon, he heads straight for Miss Clark's room?
I hate to break this to you, B-Dog, but none of these bad boys have holes,
Teddy observes, tapping on a desktop.
Over here.
Breckenridge leads us to a small table in the corner covered with books, boxes, and
This is Chlorophytum comosum, also known as a spider plant.
Teddy rolls his eyes. Thrilling.
I noticed it on my very first day,
Breckenridge explains.
because it looks like it's growing right out of the desk, but it's not. It's in a pot that fits into
The inkwell hole! Nice, Breckenridge!
And look, Dee Dee adds, locating a sheet of paper taped to the wall. Here's the checklist. Ha! Teddy crows, scanning the column of unchecked boxes. We got here first.
only because the desk was item number 1 on our list,
Francis reminds us.
The fact that we're here before the other teams doesn't mean we're winning.
Just the opposite, actually. We've already found our first item. This is our second. Great. 5 minutes into this thing and we're already behind. I'd love to tell Gina to take a long walk off a short pier, but there's no time. The 6 of us turn and dash out the door.
What's next, Nate?
Chad pants as we thunder down the corridor. Item number 2, a photograph of PS-38's first principal. Ah, that's easy, I say. It's hanging behind Mrs. Serwicki's desk in the detention room.
Are you sure?
Breckenridge asks.
Oh, believe me, he's sure. Nate knows the detention room like the back of his hand.
I shoot Francis a dirty look. FYI, dipwad, my experience in this area could give us an edge. I walk over to the picture. There's no way Gina will know this is here. She never gets detention. But Randy does. Ah! You're right. Come on, non-stoppers, we've got to pick up the pace. We spend the next 2 hours bouncing from one end of the building to the other. It's like running wind sprints for Coach John, but without any of the pesky barfing. Of course, that could change. Hang in there, Chad. Item 4 is a map of the United States when it only had 45 states. We find it in the music room, tucked behind a sousaphone.
States 46 through 50 are Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona.
Honk! We locate item 7, an antique magnifying glass, without even waking up Mr. Galvin. And after we check off item 11, a 100-year-old spelling bee trophy, it's on top of a bookcase in the computer lab, there's only one thing left on our list. Item number 12. Find something that will make PS-38 a better place, then bring the item to Principal Nichols in the cafetorium.
What kind of something do they mean?
Chad wonders. How about a new social studies teacher?
Ha!
Let's look in that big storage room next to the gym. It's packed with junk. Hopefully we can find something before we do. Sorry, Nate's numbskulls. We were here first. We've got dibs. You can't call dibs on a whole room, Gina. We can search in here too. Let's go, gang, hop to it. The other teams are nowhere in sight. It's us versus Gina's geniuses, for all the marbles. If we wrap up item number 12 before they do, we win the scavenger hunt. But we'll need a little luck. Or maybe a lot of luck. How do you hunt for something when you don't even know what you're looking for? This room is like an indoor garbage dump, overflowing with lumber, old plumbing fixtures, and mildewed books. It's hard to imagine any of this stuff making PS-38 a better place. Then,
Guys, over here! I found something!
Breckenridge points excitedly at the wall behind him, half hidden by a tower of metal shelving.
Look! Look! Somebody painted flowers!
Oh, brother. Here we go again with the flower stuff.
Breckenridge, we're supposed to find something that'll make the school a better place,
says Teddy, sounding a little frustrated. How is some graffiti going to do that?
It's not graffiti,
Breckenridge answers.
It's part of a larger picture. There's a lot more that's been painted over.
A larger picture? I repeat. You mean, like a mural? Guys, what if this is the mural we read about in Edna's journal? Francis shakes his head.
Can't be. Hickey said that mural was destroyed.
And it was in a stairwell, not a storage room,
Chad chimes in. Hickey was only guessing about the mural being destroyed, I remind them. And there could have been stairs here back when the school was first built.
Even if it is the same one Edna wrote about,
Teddy says,
how does that help PS38? I mean, what's so great about an old mural? I don't think it's just an old mural. I think it's a Granny Pepper's mural.
The $1 million painting lady?
Chad peeps. Whoa, cool your jets, Breckenridge, I say. I agree that it's a mural, but, I mean, how could it be by Granny Peppers? She's famous.
But she wasn't famous back then, remember? And she lived right here in town.
Yeah, but... Creak! There's a noise behind us. I turn to see the geniuses scooting out the door, and... Uh-oh. They're carrying some kind of box. So long, non-starters, Gina snickers as they disappear. See you at the finish line. Francis groans.
Arg! While we've been wasting time, Gina's team found their item number 12. And we found ours,
Breckenridge insists.
This wall was painted by Granny Peppers.
But how do you know?
There's no time to explain. I just do. You've got to trust me.
Wow. The kid who used to treat me like a tackling dummy, and who might be our only chance to win the scavenger hunt, is asking me to trust him. How weird is this? I take a deep breath. Then I decide what to do. What choice do I have? Where are you going? Dee Dee asks. To reach Principal Nichols before Gina does. Zow! Yeah, they had a head start, but carrying that crate means Gina's team has to walk to the cafetorium. Meanwhile, I run like my butt's on fire. We reach Principal Nichols at exactly the same time. We found something! So did we! Gina snorts. We? Who's we? The rest of Nate's nobodies aren't even here.
As long as one team member is present, that's sufficient,
Principal Nichols says calmly. Attaboy, big fella. Way to shut her down.
Let's start with Gina's geniuses, he continues. What do you have there?
Randy flips the crate upright, and for the first time I can see what it is. A suggestion box. Students write down their ideas for improving the school and put them through this slot. Then teachers decide which ones are the best. If kids know that their suggestions are making a difference, that will make PS38 a better place. Hey, here's an idea, Gina. Go soak your head. Stick that in your suggestion box.
Well done, Gina,
the principal says, nodding in approval.
And what about you, Nate?
I couldn't actually bring out item number 12 with me, but, his team didn't find anything, Gina whoops. We win! Oh, we found something all right, I tell Principal Nichols. And if it's what we hope it is, the whole school wins. Follow me. Chapter 12. I'll cut straight to the chase. Breckenridge was right. If you want to hear the whole story, just turn on your TV. Now. We're about to be on the news. 10 seconds, people. It's been a week since the scavenger hunt. A crazy week. The school's been buzzing with construction workers, art experts, and gotta go. We're on. And this is the young man who discovered the mural. Hi, Breckenridge.
Hi.
Tell me, what made you think that the mural you found during your scavenger hunt had been painted by renowned folk artist Granny Peppers?
It's the way she painted flowers. Our art teacher, Mr. Rosa, had shown us a poster of a Granny Peppers painting, and I recognized that the flowers on the wall looked exactly like the flowers in the poster. For example, the bluewood aster, or Symphotrichum quadrifolium, have light yellow florets.
Thank you, Breckenridge. Now, let's meet PS38's principal. The camera swivels over to the big kahuna. Hope it's got a wide-angle lens. Principal Nichols, why is finding this long-lost mural such good news for your school?
Well, Granny Peppers is well known for making small oil paintings on canvas, but this is the only mural she ever painted. It's one of a kind. Because it's so rare and so special, PS38 has agreed to sell the mural to the Museum of American Folk Art, where it can be enjoyed by everyone. The school will use the earnings to make some much-needed improvements to our building. The news team wraps it up, and after we manage to drag Dee Dee away from the camera, we all wander down the hall toward the storage room.
I bet they're getting a truckload of money for that mural,
Francis says. Good! Maybe they'll be able to afford some doors for the stalls in the boys' bathroom.
Wow. Look.
All week long, people from the art museum have been working on the mural, removing the top layer of dirty gray paint. I think they're done.
It's beautiful,
Dee Dee gushes.
When they move this thing to the museum, they should have a plaque with your name on it, Breckenridge,
Teddy declares.
If it weren't for you, the school wouldn't even know about the mural.
and we would have lost the scavenger hunt,
Francis adds.
Weren't we supposed to get a prize for winning?
Chad asks.
Yes, indeed. And you remember the hint I gave you? Sure, you said the sky is the limit. Precisely,
Principal Nichols answers, smiling broadly.
And if you'll follow me out to the soccer field, you'll discover what I meant.
What? We're playing soccer?
Not quite,
he tells us as we step outside.
Your prize is a bit more uplifting.
Wow.
Climb aboard and enjoy the ride, kids,
Principal Nichols tells us.
You've earned it.
A hot air balloon, I shout. This is, what's a more awesome word than awesome?
Breckenridge, aren't you coming?
Nope. What? Why not? We all cry at once.
I just don't like heights, that's all. I prefer to keep my feet planted on the ground.
Planted. Wow. Did Breckenridge just make a botany joke?
This doesn't seem right,
Dee Dee says as the gondola starts to rise.
Breckenridge is the reason we won, and he's not even coming with us.
Teddy shrugs.
That's B-Dog being B-Dog. Some people just like being alone.
I shake my head. Well, he definitely does things his own way. But I wouldn't say he's alone. He's got friends in high places.